What up, guys and girls? It is Bobby.
And Sean.
And we're back, baby.
Oh my God. This is a legitimate we're back though. So it's not our fault. Don't blame us. There's a lot of things going on in the world. And this was definitely Rush's fault for the podcast taking a very long break.
Yeah, you know how it is. Life happens. I go away, come back, get busy, work. Sean's busy doing law stuff.
Yeah, if you want someone to represent you in an automobile accident, you're going to want to know that at least I put in a couple months of really hard effort learning about torts, which was 2 years ago. But you don't want me to slack off in law school, right?
And same way, you don't want me to slack off in surgery training.
No, I definitely want to make sure, when the surgeon comes in and says, as you're getting put under with the sleeping gas, it's your right leg, right? And it's your left. There's a reason why they ask you that, because they're probably not confident.
I did make the mistake about a couple weeks ago. I put the wrong side on the consent form. And we had this nice discussion of which side was the correct side. So there's that.
That is such a fear of mine. And there's like nothing you can do about it either when you're passing out. You're just like, I hope this man is joking. I hope this man is joking.
Yeah.
Well, did you chop the wrong side off though at the end of the day?
No, pretty sure we did the right side. Well, it also doesn't matter because it was for breast cancer, and there was a wire in the right side, so like it doesn't really, or the correct side, so it doesn't even matter like which side it is, what to put in the consent form, because it's obvious which side is the correct side because there's literally a piece of metal sticking out from her boob.
Wow. I mean, the more you know. But speaking of the more you know, there are so many topics that feels like a month or two ago when we were trying to work out schedules. This is how long it's been. The Last Duel had just come out or was in theaters or straight to HBO Max. I don't remember which. It's with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Let's Go Brandon was like a thing still. And
I think it's still a thing.
It's still a thing, but like it had just really started picking up. And eating and fitness if you are a winter recycle. Somebody had asked us a question. So sorry we're getting to it months later. I hope you're still not there. Otherwise, you've probably figured it out. COVID and the Omicron variant, or the Omicron, as some politicians refer to it, that was a thing. I guess COVID still is a thing now. Thank you, Europe. Celebrity fitness and the Chris Hemsworth app. I don't know why I wrote that down as a topic we should discuss, but maybe celebrity fitness. Spartan races. I wrote them down and have an emoji next to them of being like really angry. So I must have seen something on YouTube, or some celebrity Insta person must have done one and I was just disgusted. Then now I know where we are, because this is specific to New Year's. New Year's, trying to keep your abs for the holidays, and this idea that you survived is good enough is just such weak behavior, and it's just a weak mentality to have. I can't remember if that was referring to gaining weight over the holiday season or to surviving COVID for the last 3 years. I don't know. There was a DUI, I think, in the 502nd, and there was a company recall. I think we shared like the screenshot of what that message was. Dave Castro was fired from CrossFit.
Oh, wow.
And I think there's a big gap here. And then I've written down Ukraine, the CrossFit Games, the new Batman movie, the Thor versus Eddie boxing match, which I watched yesterday, and it looked like a video game. And then finally F1 was back, and that was pretty much everything that I'd taken notes for. So now that you've memorized all of those topics, please jump in.
Should we approach this chronologically, or what do you think we should do?
Maybe start from back to forward. So the Thor versus Eddie fight.
Did not watch it. Watched some clips of it. Watched Eddie get like essentially knocked down a couple of times. I don't know. There's a bunch of drama leading up to it. I remember seeing some stuff on social media about like Thor throwing an energy drink at Eddie Hall and Eddie Hall's kid or something, and then Eddie Hall is like comforting his kid or some shit.
Yeah, Eddie was definitely the jerk in this situation. I am a much bigger Eddie Hall fan than I am of Thor. because I hate Rain energy drink. Don't ever contact us to sponsor the podcast. You're
That's
garbage.
okay. It's okay.
For the right price.
I like
For
Monster.
the right
though.
price, you're not garbage. But Bang Energy is definitely garbage. Will never be sponsored. Them or Gymshark. Anyway, speaking of cutting sponsors right off the table, if you'd like to sponsor this podcast, we could use a new sponsor. The Eddie just kind of like stirred the pot, and I think Thor was way more polished in his answers and the whole press conference leading up to it. He threw a drink, I think, in response to Eddie telling him that his mom should shut up. The whole, don't talk to my mom like that. And in general, Thor's clearly prepared for this boxing match, both from a conditioning standpoint, from learning some basic technique. Eddie's whole approach to the fight, and I say like a video game during the intro, because he would just turn and he was just like loading up that right fist.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just see like a fake power meter underneath, and you're going up against the boss of some level, and then whoosh, right hook comes and you miss it, and now you've got like 15 seconds to put in as many combos as you can, and you're slowly just taking down the energy. The fight wasn't that impressive. I was really hoping they should just go to an MMA format, to be honest. No more boxing. I just want to see the strongest men on earth literally tear each other apart, like the detachable kid, just rip arms off.
I don't think that'd be fun to watch though, because like just feel like big ass men just laying on top of each other, not knowing how to do anything.
Have you ever seen gorillas fight?
No.
I've seen YouTubes of them. They're entertaining. I can only imagine what the not apex mammal doing that to another very fit individual. Like, can you imagine if you had Brian Shaw, now I'm blanking. We had Thor, Eddie, Brian. Who's the guy that just
Martin Lisa's?
Yeah, Marcus
Martin's
Lisa's. Yeah, him. The dude that got second at the Arnold Strongman from Ukraine. Like, just put them all in a little ring and just shut the door and say like 5 men enter, 1 man leave. Like, we'll make this Mad Max rules. I'll pay for that, and I won't watch it on Segi TV because that was also brutal.
They I remember for World's Strongest Man back in like the 90s or something, they used to do like one of the events was like, I can't remember if it was like wrestling or some kind, but it was like some kind of like strongman versus strongman, like physical event.
I mean, that's what you really lift for, right? Like, I lift because I want to be strong, so that if it ever comes down to me and another person, obviously with a little bit of technique, with like a jiu-jitsu or a army combatives, I know I'm going to be victorious. Like, but I want to see that in like the peak strongman competitions from here on out. Do you hear me, Rogue? Do you hear me, Arnold? Like, building some combatives here.
They do have the slap fights. They had the slap fights at Arnold.
That's pretty cool. I didn't see that.
It's I don't quite get it, because you just slap the shit out of somebody else until the other person falls. It's just kind of strange, if you ask me.
I think that came from Russia. Am I?
Yeah.
So we can't talk about it. Why would you do that? We're about to get sanctioned by Apple.
Yeah, great.
God damn it. Okay, so we talked about Thor v. Eddie. The movie Batman.
Didn't watch it.
That was like the most emo Batman I've ever seen, but it was such a good 3 hours in the theater. Robert Pattinson was great. They really needed, though, like My Chemical Romance could have been playing during the car chase with Colin Farrell's Penguin, which, by the way, unrecognizable. I would not have known that was Colin Farrell, but for someone telling me. So, but you didn't watch it, so we can't talk about that. Sorry to the listeners who were hoping for our Batman take.
Yeah, I did not see it. I'm not sure if I will see it. 3 hours is a long time for me to commit to something, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so, but it was one of the few movies I've seen in theaters, and genuinely, it seemed like a very short 3 hours.
Interesting.
It was that good. The pace is great. It was really kind of a detective movie. Batman did not like hold punches back. And I know everyone just absolutely loves was it Christopher Nolan was the last director with Christian Bale? Like everyone loves that Batman. And I think they fangirl out on it too much. I thought this Batman was wonderful.
Interesting.
I'll be looking forward to, I mean, he's put out like a lot of good movies, and I say he without modifying who I'm talking about. Robert Pattinson is a phenomenal actor. Like he was great in The King with Timothy Chalamet. He's a good actor. Twilight just sucked, and I think it really took away from his potential, 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, he's in the Lighthouse, Willem Dafoe. Although I haven't seen it, but apparently he's really good in that.
I'm gonna say I really liked it because it was super artsy. So it was shot in black and white, and it was based off of a something Greek. So it must be like really artsy.
Yeah, I have no idea. I haven't seen it. I haven't really seen too many movies lately. The last movie I think I saw was like in theaters is James Bond, and that was back in like.
Yeah, I don't even remember when James Bond came out because it's on demand now.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna keep going through these. The CrossFit Games, 22.3 ended. I don't know how the format is set up because Dave Castro has been fired. The workouts seem really short this year.
Yeah, the workouts are kind of lame in my opinion. If we're gonna do like they're okay workouts, I'll put it that way. Like they're good workouts of like fitness workouts, but I would say they're not very good tests of fitness.
I really enjoyed 2000, maybe it was 17 or 18, when there was both, I think, a clean ladder and a snatch ladder built into separate workouts where you had like the 30 double unders, and then it was the snatches going all the way up to I think 225 or 245, maybe even 275, and you would add weight every single time, and the snatch ladder would be descending. So I think it was 50 double unders, maybe 10 squat snatches at 95, 50 double unders, 8 at 135. That was a really good workout. We did something like that at Audie Murphy, where we did a row combo and I think a hang squat snatch one day, which was really, really fun. You've probably seen it programmed because I do everything based on my past life with Bobby.
Yeah, I was like I mean, they're like good like workouts, but I wouldn't say they're not really good tests of fitness. Like, like what the first one was the deadlifts and bar facing burpees. Like,
which don't even look anymore like bar facing burpees. I watched the Tia Claire Toomey YouTube channel, and they like game out how they step / jump over the bar. It's no longer
steps up and jumps. Yeah,
it's awful. It should be a legitimate, almost like the 8 count push-up or something. Like you get up, you have to be facing the bar, both feet together, jumping. It's this weird stagger. If the whole point is being the most fit, it just seems like we're cutting corners for the sake of fitness. Like it's still clearly impressive that they're moving, but they're not standing all the way up. It's almost like they're just doing a bear crawl over the bar. It's really weird how they're saying there's certain fitness movements, but they're just gaming the movement. I feel like you've seen that on the PT test with push-ups and people that have like the short upper arm, and it's crap.
Yeah, and then the first workout was like a 15-minute AMRAP of like dumbbell snatches, wall walks, and box jump overs, which is like an okay workout, but it's hardly like a hard workout. You just have to keep moving. And the third one was like an okay test, but it was like thrusters and like the bar, like pull-ups, chest bars, and bar muscle ups. Like,
yeah,
I feel like I guess if you're like a really high level CrossFitter, that workout's like kind of a joke. You can do everything unbroken, but
yeah, then it's just down to who's the shortest person that can move the smoothest and the quickest.
Yeah.
And I don't recognize really anyone in the CrossFit community now. I mean, I still watch it. I'll like was it Kerry Ritchie, the English dude? He's got a good YouTube presence, and he stays on top of everything. But even watching his stuff weekly, I couldn't tell you who the CrossFit Games athletes are now. The Justin Medeiros guy, I feel like congratulations, you won. Matt Fraser needs to be there in order to like, you need to beat that guy. Just like Matt Fraser needed to beat Rich Froning to be taken seriously for a number of years. No offense, but like I want to see the best go out losing. I don't want to see the best being like, oh, I won. I'm going to take my time off now and still do the workouts and act like I could still be there. Like literally stop lifting. Like you're done. Tom Brady.
Oh, now that he's back.
Yeah.
How terrible would it be to be that guy that bought his last touchdown ball for $500,000 and then he comes back? You
Oh,
see
that
that?
would be I mean, you're an idiot. I I would never buy a piece of sports memorabilia like that. That's just you got it. One, if you have the money, who cares? But I would waste my money on something even cooler, way cooler than that. Let me show you what I would waste my money on.
It's like an investment though. It's like it's his last touchdown ball, his legacy and what have you.
How about this, huh? How about this for legacy?
Is that some Warhammer thing?
Yeah, that's a Primaris Space Marine painted in the Imperial Fist fashion. You'll notice the highlighting on the eagle. It's three different types of red, and then oh, you want to see more? You say okay.
Do you,
Check out my squad leader, red helmet. That gives it away. Dead giveaway. Power fist. Yep. It's pretty.
you've been painting these like by yourself?
Yeah, it's what I've been doing over my spring break and winter break. Again, could have been doing law stuff, but now that I've been in the army, you can say, I Bullock Ranger School, I learned a little bit about tactics. Didn't learn anything about tactics from being in the first Cav. Ranger Regiment learned some. 4ID didn't learn any. But I'm going to take all of that. I'm about to go punk some 14-year-olds at Games Workshop with these. You want to see what a good isolation and containment of an objective looks like? You haven't seen shit yet, kid. You just wait. I am going to load these things so much on your flank, and you're going to have no idea. You're going to be going home and crying when your mom picks you up because you don't have a driver's license because you're not a cool 33-year-old. You just have no idea. So if you're listening to this and you think you're good, I got something to tell you. You're not. The dice might be on your side one day, but you can't beat tactics, and my tactics are supreme. So coming to a Games Workshop in Northern Jersey near you. So back to you, Bobby.
Yeah, for those that are not watching us, Sean was just showing us some Warhammer figurines that he has painted. Yes.
Yeah,
Done up.
I've got a great tank. I've got a dreadnought. I've got a hero. I've got a lieutenant, and I've got a Terminator squad, 2 intercessor squad, an eradicator squad. They're all put together, painted. I just need to paint the tank, but I am so jazzed up to be taking on literally any one of the Warhammer races. I'm a fan of the Space Marines, but I could get after some orc filth. If you play Tau, I'm going to rain down destruction on you all day. If you're an Eldar fan, I'm not going to play with you because that's weird, and I don't want to be followed home.
None of those words mean anything to me.
Well, how do you think I feel when you talk science? And you're talking anatomy. I have no idea what you're talking about. You talked anatomy at the very beginning with breast cancer. I had no idea what you were talking about.
No, that's fair, I guess. But that was like you can imagine in your mind's eye what I was talking about.
In my
I have
mind,
no idea what you're talking about.
My third eye, I know exactly what you're
Your
talking
mind's
about.
eye. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite quotes from one of my attendings. He goes, "In your mind's eye, just imagine where you're cutting, and just cut down to what you're imagining." And something like shit.
Oh,
Your mind's
yes.
eye.
Okay. We've been
Oh,
beating around this bush the whole time, and I feel like everybody's wanted our take on it because since we stopped podcasting, things have gone from bad to worse in Ukraine. You could almost say that us taking time away from the world got worse. So I think us coming back, we're going to fix everything. But
being balanced in the forest.
what's your take on Ukraine?
I don't know. I don't know quite understand what to believe and what not to believe. I think it's a lot of propaganda and like information warfare going around, and like all the Instagram accounts. Like I don't know what's legitimate like news or what's legitimate like events. So I have a hard time believing that like Putin would commit his entire military, well, like the vast majority of his military force to like this operation and not have the logistical support, and like would fall through that horribly on supporting operations.
Yeah, it looks horrible. I mean, the sustainment
Yeah.
piece of this like blew my mind, especially like it seemed like 2 weeks ago people were afraid of this 40-mile long convoy heading towards Kyiv, and then it just stopped dead in its tracks. And there's no way that the Russians anticipated this wasn't going to take, maybe 2 to 3 weeks. I think the reports that they didn't expect this much, of a defense from the Ukrainians is valid. But to the extent that they didn't have supplies for 2 to 3 weeks already set aside,
Yeah.
especially when they were already there on the border, just that doesn't seem to make sense. That would be like a huge disastrous error that I can't see anyone in a position, especially that's been so calculated with Chechnya, Crimea, and leveraging their position in the world to make it such a really early time.
No, I agree completely. Like, doesn't quite compute with me, and how, like you say, how calculated Russia has been in previous engagements, but then in the Ukraine, just like not having enough gas, where tanks are running out of fuel, and their soldiers are like hitchhiking to get back to the lines, doesn't quite make sense to me. Granted,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
hard. It's hard. Like I don't know really what to. I I think we can all agree that what Russia's doing is wrong, um, like wholeheartedly against them invading Ukraine. That's just it's completely uncalled for and unnecessary, and that's putting it in the lightest of terms. But like all the other reports that are coming out of both CNN, Fox, MSNBC, the New York Times, Vice News, you read it and you go, how much of this can I actually one
leave.
filter and
Yeah.
go, okay, this is a legitimate site. Especially in light of the fact that what was the New York Times a couple days ago acknowledged that the whole Hunter Biden laptop thing was not Russian disinformation, and that our 50 intelligence individuals that signed a letter objecting to the laptop story as being Russian disinformation are now completely wrong. So it's like how much of our intelligence, how much of our reporting is really flawed or missing part of it. And I don't want to sound like an alarmist or conspiracy theorist, because that's not what I'm saying. But I don't ever read now and take for face value what the words on the paper might say.
Yeah. And that's kind of a disheartening fact, right? That's like you can't really believe what you see in the media anymore and news sources, and you have to like do true, like find like first primary account sources of what's going on.
Well, especially too when news agencies make a mistake. I think Fox News was reporting about biological weapons in Ukraine, or the U.S. was funding biological weapons research. And a whole bunch of very conservative, non-mainstream, but nonetheless popular websites started reporting it as if to get out ahead of it, are now coming back and saying, oh, no, that was incorrect. But like their edit to their story is like a footnote. It's like, it's not we're going to take 5 minutes and it's just going to be put up on the screen so that everyone sees it over the course of the next hour. That's how I think people need to adjust their stories. So for CNN, when the Juicy Smollett story came back to be completely fabricated, the Hunter Biden laptop came back to not be Russian disinformation. There should be some checks and balances, especially over a regulated form of communication on TV, radio, print, of saying you have to tell the American people that you are wrong in a very express,
Clear, yeah.
very clear manner, and not this we're going to bury our own mistake on maybe the back page of our website. Like that's
Yeah.
disingenuous, and that's poor journalism. It just goes back to mainstream media. Like it's been trashed for a while now.
Yeah, you guys have heard our takes on the mainstream media, but yeah, 100% agree. It's just like everyone doesn't like to be, of course, like nobody wants to be wrong in their reporting, but still, it's like it shouldn't be that big of an ego hit to be like, hey, we were wrong, guys. It's actually the real story. Granted, like a lot of this stuff is probably like, fits a certain agenda and fits a certain narrative, and that's why it's pushed out so hard. But then once it goes against the narrative or the agenda, then they try to hide that fact, just like the whole like vaccines, masks, and things like that, and
Oh
COVID.
my God. Yeah. You couldn't even have a separate opinion about the, what's it called with the safety measure of something, um, its level of protection to prevent death. There's a scientific term I'm thinking off the top of my head. I sound like an idiot right now because I don't know the word. It's not effectiveness. Maybe it is effectiveness. Sure, I'm going to use that this time. Like the
Efficacy.
effectiveness, the efficacy. There we see. This is why we have a doctor on the podcast. But either the vaccine's efficacy or a mask's efficacy. I don't know if you can put those two together, but like to even have a separate opinion on that and not be able to say that if you are in a good health as a young adult, like the whole cancel Joe Rogan issue over COVID, 6 months ago, the fact that you can't have those conversations on a mainstream media platform, I think is really creating tribes within the United States. And it's dividing Americans. It's probably leading to a lot of the apprehension to what the news sources put out and go, I'm going to wait for a couple of weeks until it's either been confirmed by multiple platforms before I form an opinion. But what's really dangerous about Ukraine right now is we are like declassifying as a governmental entity, like the information we have with Putin's escalation, whether it's staging, whether it's preparing to attack, whether now it's like the chemical warfare threat, as if to get ahead of it ourselves as a government. And what I fear that does is it allows the mainstream media to run with it. The government might say, hey, we think that the Russians may be preparing to use chemical weapons. It's like, okay, mainstream media reports the crap out of that, really increases the fears across the country, when maybe what the government was citing was preparing to use chemical weapons as like the sixth or seventh, uh, way in which they could capture a city. Like, how could we capture this port city? Well, number one is this, number two, and number seven is our most unlikely course of action, but it would be chemical warfare. And the fact that we're not getting any kind of, like a defined reason why they'd be doing that is scary to me in digesting the news, because if you're going to say that we're declassifying everything, you need to declassify everything. What was the source of the information coming out of Russia for this recent, concern? Because otherwise it's just, who are we going to believe now? Like, are you just doing like a wag the dog? That was a really good movie back in the 90s. Like, is this a wag the dog moment? Like, I don't know. And I sure as hell don't want American forces committed off of a theory that was not vetted and sourced so that America could make an appropriate decision through the legislative branch.
It's like Iraq and the WMDs, same kind of idea.
100%. That's a great analogy. Yeah.
But I don't
Boom.
know.
I hope your minds are blown. Did you see that? Boom.
Because I mean, there's obviously certain entities that would appreciate America being pulled into another long-term war or another.
Raytheon,
Yeah.
Boeing. Here's what should happen. Any of these Congress people, I watched Starship Troopers recently, so I'm very much in the Starship Troopers mind. Rico's Roughnecks. If you are in Congress and you are of age or have a child that is of age and you vote to declare war or you vote to supply arms to Ukraine that is a catalyst for the Russians to attack us, kind of like what happened in World War II with Japan and the embargo that we'd put on their oil production, and why they were kind of like, we're going to attack Pearl Harbor now, like see what happens. So you or your children should be signed up. Like there needs to be some accountability, because you can rattle your sabers all you want up there on Capitol Hill. You're completely protected and isolated from anything that happens. You sit in such a position of privilege to be able to levy such harsh words at a foreign adversary when it's, it's soldiers, airmen, Marines, sailors, Air Force. No, what do they call them? Space Commandos?
Space Force.
Space Marines. They're the ones that are going to end up paying any kind of price on this, because you couldn't either do this from a very mature standpoint, or again, you're so far removed from the tip of the spear that it's a talking point. It's a platitude, every November for Veterans Day. There's no connection for you except trying to get extra votes as being the most patriotic.
While you're sitting here, buying and selling stocks and commodities that with the prior knowledge of policies that are going to affect a couple of days,
Oh my God. Yeah. The beginning of the COVID shutdown, was it like 55 senators and House members that had clear ties to insider trading? Or there's a whole Reddit or TikTok that's just devoted to following Nancy Pelosi's trades.
Yeah, I think it was a Twitter account that was like Pelosi trades or something. And
yeah,
apparently she was beating the S&P 500 and was like outperforming
by a lot, like 66%.
I should just followed that.
Yeah, I should have too. If I had money that I was making any in law school, that's what I would have done with it.
That's crazy, right? Like even she had that testimony on in front of Congress about representatives and trading stock.
It's horrible. It's a red flag. It's literally like a red flag. But it just goes back to, we've clearly got issues within the United States that need to be solved, and I feel like we are just being pulled in directions that keep us from solving the pressing matters that would make the United States better, for the sake of a Ukraine, for the sake of dealing with a pandemic. Like it just never seems like we can just deal with the United States at once. It's always dealing with something, COVID in China, the Olympics and the controversy around that. I just wish we could have a like spring break for the United States. No one has any foreign homework assignments. Everyone can just relax, come back recharged, and actually solve problems. Or paint Primaire Space Marines, which you can get at your closest Games Workshop.
Yeah, it's like that would be the ideal, but that narrative doesn't quite sell in terms of the media, right? Like it's all driven by clicks and controversy. So
what's the reason why President Trump was elected? I think the media not said, hey, this is clickbait, and CNN is 100% culpable in getting him elected, whether or not they believe so or otherwise. All they did was cover him, and they made him a polarizing figure. And so even if you disliked the Democratic Party in the slightest amount, you were like a 49.999% conservative person, you were like all against it and all in for your tribe's candidate. And it's that lazy type of journalism. I tell you, the CNN Global and the other global news networks that cover actual global events are such a better source of what's going on than the same news cycle over and over again. If you watch from Fox and Friends in the morning to the 5 at night, or the CNN, I think it's Aaron Burnett up front, maybe at 9, to whatever, Anderson Cooper at night, you get the same story. There's no difference. They're both reporting just a spin on the same thing instead of talking about actual newsworthy events. And it's like Marjorie Taylor Greene. The fact that we're talking about her, even though she is the most unimpressive member of Congress ever, like not sitting on any committees, hasn't proposed any bills except to have President Biden impeached, literally does nothing except embarrass her district. The fact that she is a household name because networks like CNN have made stories about her just shows you how little integrity they have to the actual newsworthy events to talk about what's going on in Congress. We just passed $14 billion to go to Ukraine. You know, it could have been better spent with $14 billion. How about like, $100,000 to however many thousands of restaurants when COVID shut them down and, people went without pay, instead of, we're going to print money and fake the debt, then do it for America. But I mean, again, problems in Congress, problems in the news, no news story.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know where it comes from, whether it's just trying to jam, their agendas forward or what it comes from, but I think there's definitely, like you said, there needs to be like a resetting or like a adjustment of everybody's, goals and, kind of long-term views and where we want to go with this country. Because you can argue that like the last like couple of cycles, election cycles, has just been very short-sighted. It's all
Absolutely.
been about like this next election cycle, this next 2 to 4 years, about getting reelected or getting their party reelected, and then at the cost of the future. You mentioned like the inflation and the national debt is skyrocketing. We have gas like $5 a gallon for gas now.
Dude, buy a Tesla. I don't know why we're even having this conversation.
The issue with Tesla is like, or EVs in general, is that there's not enough natural resources and minerals to support an EV based society.
I don't like your position, so I'm going to harshly disagree with you, but without any sources to cite as to why. But bleh.
Yeah, Christian
But
wants to get a Tesla, and I say, sure, but it doesn't. I don't think it necessarily helps that much the environment.
I have a bike. Honestly, we're moving out of Jersey City here in a month and a half. We close on our house next week. So I plan on biking to work as often as I can in like the good weather months. It'll probably end up being maybe an hour to an hour and a half each way, but like do that 2 or 3 times a week, and the roads are relatively safe. But speaking of being short sighted and your goals, you just had knee surgery. What are your short-term goals for lifting and your long-term? Because I think the viewers want to know, how jacked are we going to get?
Yeah, so for those that don't know, I tore my meniscus, I think back in December. Not sure how I did it, but it's been kind of bothering me lately. So then I got surgery in February, like February the 1st. I had surgery on my knee. They just debrided it. Nothing crazy. It didn't reconstruct my meniscus or anything. Just like cleaned it out. So I'm trying to work back and getting my squatting and my leg stuff back up. It's still kind of sore and that it hurts some days, but the range of motion is mostly there, and I'm just working on the strength back and getting the range of motion back in terms of my leg.
I mean, what are your long-term goals once you get that range of motion back?
I don't know. I don't really have very high long-term goals right now. I just enjoy being, jacked and tan.
Jacked. Well, I know 2 years ago we were thinking like what kind of ultra endurance type event could we do, and you were doing like 20 to 30 mile runs pretty consistently. I stupidly signed up for an Ironman. I don't think we're going to pick fitness challenges like that. But I like picking like a fitness challenge every once in a while to be, on the wall at least, to train for, like a 600-pound bench press, or, winning world's strongest man, something attainable.
Attainable, yeah.
Yeah. That's the word for Cronus Fit in 2022. Attainable. What are your goals? We'll get you there.
I thought about doing like competing best ranger. That could be could be a thing to train for, but the only concern is like that I would have is like finding a partner to do best ranger, and I don't know who would want to do best ranger with me.
I've got a buddy that's about to finish med school and I think he wants to get out to Lewis, and he's a prior infantry officer, Ranger grad.
Who's this?
So I'll send you his name offline, so that you're not following deep down in there, you weirdos. Yeah, he's a super fit dude. He's been like honor grad of everything he's ever been to. Really great dude. I went to college with him. But if he gets up there, I'd love to see two docs go and do best ranger. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe because next year is my research year, which is like not clinically based. So apparently, it's time that you can do whatever you want to do.
Well, you could do all the outdoor stuff. I mean, you guys
Yeah,
got the tent, the truck. You have a stove, right?
yeah, correct.
Yeah, that I mean, go research like how to live out on the off the grid and survive on bear meat.
Yeah, I really sad I didn't really get to ski much this season. I bought new skis, got a new setup this year, and then haven't even used it because my knee's been messed up. So I'm gonna do a lot more skiing next year. Brian will be here next year.
That's gonna be awesome.
I think about getting
Why
if
don't you
you
do? Why don't you do? Oh, because he's civilian now. I was gonna say do best ranger with him. That'd be great.
yeah, he's doing. But might do backcountry skiing now.
That's a
That
lot of fun.
getting some backcountry skiing. So lots of outdoors activities to focus on, but we'll see about like fitness wise.
Yeah, so many activities, and your garage gym looks great too. So, um, easy to pick something and go after it.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't want to commit to it.
You have a year. You have a year to do this.
I'm very non-committal right now. I don't want to let people down. I don't want the viewers down.
We have such a massive YouTube following. I mean, I think our podcasts have generated at least 100 clicks, 100 views. We did, though, when we were running the podcast pretty regularly. I think we had gotten up to over like, was it 60 or 70,000 listens, which was, I really appreciated knowing that, people cared to hear what we were saying, even though we couldn't think of words like efficacy, off the top of our podcast host heads.
Yeah, the more content, we probably lost a little bit of momentum with those little hiatus, but I don't know. I think more
Fitness
content.
doesn't stop those, so people still got after the workouts. They just didn't hear our radio voices, and luckily, neither one of us, were reliant on the stream of income from our podcast and all of the sponsorships that we had from Bang Energy and Gymshark. They just reached out to us. We're going to sign a multi-million-dollar deal.
If we're dope, I wouldn't mind getting Bang like a sponsorship.
Oh my God, no, dude! I had a quarter of a can of Bang, and like I felt like I was having heart palpitations. I felt like I was having sweat, but I couldn't sweat it out. It was just being trapped underneath the skin. I felt horrendous. I've had, for instance, 5 hour or 3 hour energy. I don't know what the
5 hour.
Yeah, 5 hour. The two times I've had it, I've thrown up both times. I know not to have it. Bang Energy is the same way. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me again after that, I'm just an idiot. Like, never again.
Yeah, because I mean, Bang Energy is like 300 milligrams caffeine for one can. Like that's a pretty hefty dose. Usually my like happy spot's about like 120, 150 milligrams of caffeine in one sitting.
Well,
Like
that's like the Jim Stepani supplement. I think that's 250 or 300 milligrams of caffeine per scoop.
yeah.
But that's delicious. That makes my face crawl. I don't have the full scoop, but I've gotten away from having caffeine with coffee for my pre-workout because I want that jitter. I'm getting back to like trying to lift really heavy weight,
Uh-huh.
and I just love that. I'm gonna start being a power lifter. I think I've got some sweatsuits. I'm gonna start bringing gummy bears to the gym, wearing a belt everywhere I go, and complaining that they don't have any strongman stones, and just
I
live
don't
that
think
life.
that's powerlifting. I think it's just like an old man at the gym. The old man at the gym that walk around like belts on.
And butt naked in the bathroom, even though there's no shower.
Yeah, that's like the old man gym
Yeah,
vibe.
that's gonna be me. Yeah, we're looking at getting some stuff for the gym at the house, and one of the things I want to get, and we were talking about it a couple weeks ago, was the sandbags, and whether it's like just the small round sandbag or the tall cylinder shaped ones, or now they have like the strongman Atlas stone shaped ones. I just want to put something in there about 150 to 200 pounds just to be able to pick up over and over again. And just my hand strength is the biggest thing that I think I lost during the Ironman training. My leg strength is coming back reasonably well, but like just being able to not even hook grip 315 on the bar was super challenging. And it's only recently that I've been able to hold 405 without a hook grip. And it's just, that was the most frustrating part, is knowing that these hands used to be able to hold something like that, and to not have that strength was disheartening, to say the least.
Too much typing.
Too much. It's exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing too much reading, too much typing. My clients don't need me to be that smart. They want to know that I can deadlift.
Yeah, same thing at the doctoring, patients don't care how good my hands are. They only
In fact,
care.
I think your hands should be stronger. You need to be able to make those precision cuts and know exactly how much force. So, if God forbid your hands didn't work and I was visiting you and I had to come in and do the surgery for you to be your hands, you could say, Sean, 5-pound weight. And I would know exactly how much pressure to put in. You could say, Sean, 45 pounds in your hand. And I would know exactly how hard to cut that bone to sever it. Like, that's the kind of numbering system I think the medical community could take over, instead of trying to, teach you how to carve up a person. You just relate it to weights.
Yeah, I think that'd be a huge miss for a vast majority of doctors. That's not true. I shouldn't say that. I
Why?
think
Because
doctors in
they don't
decent
lift,
shape.
or they don't know the numbers.
Probably both, but I think some doctors in decent shape. But I don't know.
Yeah, but the doctors that I always see in decent shape, at least the ones on TV, are always like plastic surgeons, like ear, nose, and throat. I've never seen like a jacked actual surgeon like you. I don't know whether it's like because I know you put in a ton of man hours like studying and actually like doing surgeries. Do you find in your experience that individuals that are maybe lighter on the, how do I say this? The dumber doctors, the doctors that do less impressive things, are the better in shape ones?
I don't think so. Like internal medicine or like family medicine doctors aren't in that great shape. There are a couple of them that are in good shape, like not many of them. I think it's just like a matter of what you're used to. If you're not used to being in good shape, you're not going to become a doctor and get in good shape.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you on that. I don't feel you at all, actually. I don't know what I'm agreeing with. I have no idea what what practices you just mentioned. Doctors, that's all I know. Medical people.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if you have a braces and being really in shape, then I think you'll stay in good shape. But if you're not like, come from a background of being fit, you're not gonna want to stay fit or be fit. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So you went to med school, because I'm thinking of ways to just make you an even bigger total package. You went to med school through the Army,
Correct.
but you didn't use the GI Bill.
Correct.
Dude, you could get out. You could go to law school. It's like a 3-year vacation. You could go, like, you could be like that dude who was a Navy SEAL, a doctor, and an astronaut, by going and working for Tesla and getting shot to space, and then get out and get your law degree. Dude, I'm thinking of so many ways that I can market you. I can make you an NFT.
I do hear that a very profitable career path is to be like a doctor, practice law or practice medicine for a little bit, then go to law school, and then go into malpractice law.
Oh,
And
either
then make bank.
malpractice, because yeah, you'll
Actually understand it. Yeah.
yeah, not only that, and like you'll save on maybe some expert witness costs, um, but you could also work patent law. So there's a couple of individuals that have their doctorate that are at law school with me, and that's exactly what they're going to do when they graduate, because you have to pass a separate bar for patent law. And if you have a background in something like, chemical engineering or something else that has way too many syllables but is sciencey, like, you're going to be a very highly sought after lawyer. So yeah, you should do that.
Yeah, it's like the medical device the device industry is very, very lucrative. I
Oh yeah.
am as much as I hate to, I do enjoy having breakfast paid for by industry reps. It has no shape, it has no effect on my practice. Putting it out there right now doesn't affect my practice at all, but I have no problem going out to get food with industry reps. No problem.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a buddy that does medical sales and stuff, and um, I feel like he's shown me pictures of whenever he goes to these events. I would buy from him, and I don't know a damn thing about medicine. He's a good-looking Jack dude, former Ranger. So if you were to tell me that this plastic scalpel from a Lego set was the way to go, I'd pay $5 million for it. That's how gullible I'd be.
Yeah, I know. I am I'm okay with industry, affecting the medicine.
No, it's like private practice, man. Like, it's a competition. It's, within the marketplace, someone's got to get ahead. Um, and if the product's good and it does its job, it's like, I think people complain with some of the lobbying that goes on in Congress, but I don't think all lobbying is necessarily bad if it's going to get something in the hands of, like soldiers, for instance. We get a lot of gear because lobbyists have gone and been able to push maybe for a certain type of weapon, and that's upgraded our military arsenal. And I think generally the lobbying gets a really bad rep. They probably should, considering like the smoking lobbyists, but there needs to be some of that kind of, what is it? Not greasing the hands. Is it greasing the tracks? I don't know what the term is.
Greasing the
Again,
hands.
I'm a wordsmith today, man.
Greasing the wheels.
Greasing the wheels. Yeah, you see, I didn't learn anything when I was mechanized infantry.
Yeah, clearly.
Oh, is this my layout? We're good. Okay, yeah, I'll sign for it. Whatever. Let's go work out.
Yeah, there's probably like good and bad aspects to like industry and devices, and I think devices get kind of bad rap because it's such a very lucrative practice that these things are costing $1,000 upon $1,000. Like for example, the ones that we actually had a really sweet lab that we did last Thursday. We were doing abdominal wall reconstruction, like very complex hernias, and then this company brought in fresh cadavers for us to use to dissect, but it was all as a product rep for this one mesh, this one biologic mesh made out of pig skin, and it was a way to like try and sell us that. But it's kind of interesting because like a lot of the data is coming out against using biologic meshes in people. So it's like, interesting that they're still going to spend like all this money to, woo us to use their product when a lot of the science and the data says otherwise.
Yeah, it's unsupported. It's.
But I'm
I
fine
mean,
with it.
someone's wasting their money.
Yeah, someone's wasting the money, and that was like, I was like, they had like like the head of like the country's like military sales was here, and like all these other like big wigs for the company were trying to like sell us this product.
Yeah, and it's just not good.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Well,
Speaking of something else that isn't good, Spartan races. Uh, this is a promotion. If you've lost money by signing up for Spartan races and you feel like you were robbed of that hard-earned cash, you should contact 1-800 I'm an idiot, because Spartan races are dumb. If you've signed up for one, turn the radio off. We're not talking to you anymore. We're not friends. I can't stand Spartan races. It is like the prototypical, I'm a tough guy, I'm growing a beard, I've never served in the military, but I have an AR-15 at home and I have the CrossFit plate carrier, and I want to do something where I go ho 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 like the beginning of the race and take a 6-inch jump over flames. Like that is the dumbest. That's dumber than doing airsoft. Like, I do not understand how Spartan races are so popular. They are beyond dumb. Go to a jungle gym down the street and just do a couple of laps and then run through that. Like, why would you ever pay to do something? And the costumes that people wear to these things, I'm on a rant right now, are as bad as like CrossFit costumes were 6 years ago, where people were wearing socks up to their knees because they didn't want their little shins to get nicked by the bar. And they wear the bear grip, like muscle up gymnastics, hand protectors. They wear the big bandana. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I saw an ad for Spartan Race months ago, just saw it in the notes. Despise it. Do not get it.
I don't know if I think they're a bad thing.
How are
If
they
you're an
okay? If they're not necessarily
everyday,
bad, why are they good?
because it allows ordinary people with no exposure to, tough things, something they train for, and to give them an opportunity to express themselves physically in otherwise, not physically challenging society.
But why could I'm like everything they're doing, literally, like if you lived in Colorado, just go run the bar trail. That's
Because
literally
it's
more challenging.
because it's more fun to like have these obstacles with people there with it. It's like very similar to CrossFit in that regards, in that there's a sense of community and physical difficulty in an otherwise not challenging society.
Okay, you're convincing me. So here, if you're listening still, you're seeing my mind slowly change. I was really strongly opinionated, but someone with an intelligent counterpoint is now convincing me otherwise. Maybe I was being closed-minded.
Yeah, because it's like, they're granted it is like a big corporation and their goal is to get you to buy,
Now I'm against it. I'm against corporations, Bobby. Spin it back the other way, man. You're losing me. You're losing the audience.
but I think the idea of it is like, challenging yourself and training for something that you normally wouldn't do. Like
Okay.
I think the Spartan races you have like what, like normal civilians that never have done military, like you said, but this is their opportunity to try and do something physically hard that they've never done before. And then the same reason why people run marathons. Like, why would you run a marathon when you can just run 26 miles in your backyard?
That's exactly how I feel. That's why I've only run half marathons, because
But there's a sense of community and a sense of doing it with somebody else. You have a date. It's like you're training for something. So a lot of
okay, you're
gives people something to do.
Bobby, these are great points. I mean, when I ran the Savannah Women's Half Marathon, I thought it was to support women. Found out that it was really only for women, and I was like one of the literally only men to run. I was the number one man to finish, though. Thank you very much. Really victorious moment for me. But it is good to have something on the table. The one thing that I appreciate about Spartan Race, and here I am, I'm giving a compliment to the thing that I was just formally against. Now I'm all about Spartan Race. That's the next thing I'm going to do. I do appreciate how people get like really filthy dirty for it, and they might take forever to do it, and they get it done. It's got a couple different apparati.
Right eye.
Yeah, it has a different couple apparati. Uh, but whenever I watch like the professional ones where they like that dude that won Best Ranger, I think twice, and
Yeah, it's very
um,
physically impressive.
yeah, it's physically impressive. I just wish the weights were significantly heavier. Whenever they're carrying the sandbag, I think they're saying, "Oh, this is a 50-pound sandbag." Like, okay, cool. That sandbag needs to be 150 pounds. Like the weights need to be almost equal to like a normal person's weight. Whatever you're doing, if you're gonna be, if you're reflecting a Spartan warrior culture, the weight should be adequate to that lifestyle. However heavy the shields were, people should be running with a shield. Um, if you're throwing a spear, if you miss, you should have the spear thrown back at you. Like, you need to understand life or death seriousness with which King Leonidas trained his valiant Spartans to hold off King Agamemnon. Was that Troy? Who Theseus? Who was the bad guy in 300?
It was think it was supposed to be Darius, the Persian
Xerxes?
Empire. Xerxes, maybe Xerxes.
Xerxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but which son of
I am a
Darius?
generous god.
The son of Darius, which is a real
Son of Darius. Yeah, but it's like, I build some danger into it, man. Like, when I did my Ironman, I got stung by so many jellyfish. Did you know that? Tough. I had them flown in specifically to make it a tougher event for myself. If it had been a Spartan race Ironman, there would have been no jellyfish. In fact, I probably would have been given fins. Okay. Anyway, I don't know how I feel about Spartan races now.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree that people, and I love that people stay fit and they do something fun. But when I look at a Spartan race and I see the gear that is involved, having lived in Colorado where I could go to, I think it was Ute Park or anywhere on the Front Range, I could have literally set up a Spartan race for like $50 on my own,
You could
and
have.
done it.
Give me a Sean
And
Backyard Challenge called the Sean Backyard Challenge.
yeah, you're going to sign a waiver because listen, if you throw the spear and you miss, we're going to have a trained spear chucker on the other side. And, let's just say don't miss.
Now,
But, the burpees thing, was a thing. I don't know that the Spartan races, because there were Spartan races, Tough Mudders is another one.
mm-hmm.
There was another one way back in the day.
I will say the ones that I cannot support are like the military boot camp ones. Have you ever seen those ones where they get civilians and they could treat them like they're going through like buds or something for like a weekend?
Oh my god, yeah, or like
That's the ones
selection.
I can't get behind that shit.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I cannot get behind that.
No, and I think some of them pay like $10,000 or $15,000 per slot.
Yeah, it's like
I mean,
a
SealFit does that.
yeah.
I love doing the SealFit workouts back in 2010 and 11 and 12. But they had like a SealFit, I think it was called Kakuro, where Mark Devine would bring in a former bunch of SEALs that were in the draft phases of their memoirs. So they had time before they were trying to sell their stories to Hollywood. And they'd put them through like a mini, 3-week buds course where they were doing push-ups and the, instructors were spraying water on them, and then they go down to the beach and they do flutter kicks in the cold water. Like that's if you want to do something to that extreme that badly, like just sign up and join at that point.
Yeah.
Um,
Did somebody die from one of those things?
I think someone recently died at Buds or finished the first phase or the Hell Week, died, and then someone else was hospitalized pretty badly. But
no, maybe like in like one of those SEAL Fit things, like somebody died at one of those camps.
Oh, I did not know.
I do remember seeing something like that, and that's why SEAL Fit's been like kind of not in the gestalt.
Oh, well, let's see. SEAL Fit Kakuro death. Or
maybe like SEAL Fit death.
Yeah, there was a lawsuit and it was a wrongful death action. And I guess, yeah, I didn't see. Yeah, dude was 31, died. Back in maybe 16 or 17. Yeah, I don't know. It's a 50 hour. Here's more information. It's a 50-hour strenuous fitness event organized by SealFit. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't read. I never heard of that.
Yeah,
I stopped.
Exactly.
I stopped following SealFit when they started making you pay for their services. It's actually one of the reasons I remember when we were talking about starting Cronus Fit now almost 5 years ago, which is nuts. It's like we didn't want to put a paywall on it specifically because I remember how frustrating it was going like these workouts are great, but they're not worth $10 a month or $15 a month. Like there's a ton of, you should have access to fitness for free.
Anyways, what else do you want to talk about?
Oh, let's see. There was a whole list of things. How do you not remember this?
I don't know.
We talked about Dave Castro got fired. I'm still blocked by his Instagram. Unbelievable. Just because he loves Brooke Wells. I can't believe that. I make one joke about that on Instagram, and I'm forever blocked by CrossFit's Lord and Savior.
Well, no longer either.
No longer, no.
No
Yeah,
longer
his
affiliated.
no longer affiliated because I guess people didn't like him playing the Riddler on open announcements and what a koi fish meant to the workout.
Oh, they still did that shit this year. Did you see that?
Oh, I didn't see that. No.
They did like Instagram like pictures and hints, some shit. I was like, this is very Dave Castro-esque, but not nearly as good as Dave Castro's.
I hope Dave Castro and like Josh Bridges get together and start something because I would legitimately be interested in following that. I mean, Dave Castro was an instructor at Buds. So the dude had an awesome military career. Josh Bridges, Navy SEAL. I loved watching Josh Bridges when he had a YouTube series where he's putting out something like almost every single week.
Does he still, I think he still does that. No,
He might still. I haven't been watching.
yeah.
But like if the two of them were to get together and create like a SEAL Fit-esque program.
Josh Bridges has like a military prep
Damn
workout
it, dude, you're
plan.
not helping me here. I did no research before I started this segment. If the two of them got together, I would 100% be interested in following along with something like that, especially from a Navy centric focus. I mean, I appreciated Dave Castro's bluntness with the way that he approached the CrossFit community. I didn't like how Greg Glassman and CrossFit wanted to make it like attainable for everybody, to make the games. Like I don't tune in to watch the CrossFit Open or to see the workouts so that the 50-year-old at the other side of the gym can participate. It's like the reason why once you get old in the NFL, I don't want you playing. I want to see the youngest, toughest people hitting each other. It's like that for the CrossFit Games. I want to see the biggest, strongest, fastest people compete every year. And I feel like at least Dave promoted that. And it wasn't so much of this, where we should film something with an old person picking up a paint can in their home because that's going to be their workout in their living room. Like, no, it's not. I didn't do CrossFit because of that. I wasn't thinking of my Nana. I don't even call my Oma Nana. I call her Oma, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because like that was like one of the big criticisms of CrossFit is that back in the day when it first came out, it used to be like this like dirty, grungy, like basement dungeon type
Yeah,
gym
go to an
people.
underpass and somebody
Yeah.
brought their weights.
And then it used to be like about like, how tough you would be and like doing all these crazy workouts. And then now it's all about like inclusivity, which whatever.
I just don't know how that promotes the fitness aspect of it. It's like you want to change your messaging, whatever that, I mean, you're a company, do whatever you want, but people were interested in you because you are such a brutal fitness organization. Like
You're
you
right.
knew you were going to go get crushed. I don't care who I'm working out next to. It's like when they had the CrossFit Games out, and I think they took them to Camp Pendleton, and they made them do like a 12 or 13-mile run on the backside of some workout. Like that's awesome. They need to bring back those kind of gritty events, not the marathon row, like you literally can't go anywhere because you're in the middle of nowhere. You better finish this race
Right.
because it's an out and back course, or it's a single loop course and you're going to be further from the start, every foot you take until you hit a certain mark. Like that's what I want to see at a CrossFit Games.
Now we have, I don't even remember what they did last year for CrossFit Games. I don't remember CrossFit Games anymore. I don't really follow it too much anymore either.
I don't remember watching it last year. I think there was a cool one 2 years ago with Matt Fraser when Vellner fell off the obstacle course. That like Cole Sager won the event. And they had the battle carry, battle buddy carry,
That was like
drag.
4 years ago.
Is that how long it? Oh my god, I'm
Yeah,
that
when
old.
Vellner fell off the car in that was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was like 2017
Wow,
or 2018 maybe. Definitely pre-COVID.
definitely pre-COVID. Like they should take the CrossFit Games to Iceland. Like jump off this waterfall. If you live, pick up this heavy ass stone. If you don't break your back, sharpen your axe and throw it at the mountain. If the mountain catches it, he gets a free shot back at you. Again, we're bringing back, the opposite side of the coin. If you're staying fit to fight, you got to take the repercussions of not hitting your target. Spartan race. You hearing me?
You should just go join Spartan Race as a advising member.
I should. They really need my help there. We're gonna, with my help, they're gonna go just above what they ever could have done before.
Yeah, Christina's actually apparently like the dude that the CEO of like Spartan Race or whatever. Christina like got his book or something, and apparently she said that his book is pretty good.
I don't doubt it, man. You don't grow something that big and become that successful and be an unintelligent or uninspiring person. Like the dude that started WeWork has a new show out with Anne Hathaway. Whatever. It's on Apple TV. Hulu had a big documentary about him, and he started this company where you essentially rent a desk at a workspace, and that it's this about this community. He's like an inspiring dude, and he was a grinder, and he got stuff done when he was, everything was stacked against him. Like that, like people have interesting stories, and when they make something happen, like, you want to hear about it. So I don't doubt that the guy from Spartan Race is a cool dude. He just needs to have more blood and guts involved in his events.
Yeah. Apparently, Christina was saying that he apparently like adopted like 10 or 15 kids or something, and that his like
You're making hating Spartan Race like so much harder.
He talks about like in his book about how important it is to like physically challenge kids and give them like a sense of purpose or something for their development or something like that.
Dude, speaking about kids, my former S3, when I was at Carson, had a son that did jujitsu, and he told him before, like an open roll, he said, "Hey, if you don't lose a single match, I'll take you to Toys R Us afterwards." And the kid beat the shit out of every single kid, and then in front of all the parents from the mat pointed at his dad and went, "Toy." That is like how I'm going to approach being a parent. Like I want my son to just dominate in a respectful way, like not in an arrogant way. I'll be arrogant about it. I want him to just go ham on physical fitness and mental power, obviously.
Physical and mental prowess.
Mental prowess, yeah. And so that he knows what efficacy is without needing a doctor.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
Suicide Squad 2 was really good, but that came out months ago.
Peacemaker, have you watched it yet?
Peacemaker, great show. Oh my God, great
Finally.
Show. Yeah. That
great show.
DC is coming back. Like those are the kind of movies DC needs to make. Get rid of Ben Affleck, who, see how we wrap this in? He was in the last Duel. So like we bring everything together on
Didn't
this
watch
podcast.
that one.
Oh, you're an idiot. It was a great movie.
It's on HBO.
With Adam Driver. Yeah, it's on HBO. Free Guy was another great movie. Our Flag Means Death with Taika Waititi. Great show on HBO.
I'm rewatching The Sopranos for like the 5th or 6th time.
I got through the first season of that. That was really good. I love I love that whole, like, it's just like there's some violence in it, like when he goes and he's taking his daughter to do the college visit and he just strangles that dude.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh my God. But Steve Van Zandt, who plays one of his, like, is it the Gambinos? Is that was the that's a real crime family.
Yeah.
I can't remember him, but Steve Van Zandt he's the guitar player for Bruce Springsteen, but he has a band called Little Steven. So good. It's just good, like Jersey rock, if there is a thing, but you wouldn't understand because you're not from Jersey any longer.
I do miss Jersey, I will say. I miss having good Christine and I were talking about like coming up with new ways to like increase our income streams and diversify our income streams.
OnlyFans.
She pitched we should open up a Rita's Water Ice franchise out here.
Trying to think. I mean, you got a bunch of grungy people out there.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think water ice would be very
weed water,
very profitable. That'd be interesting. The thing is, like, nobody understands what water ice is outside of like, you're not
even saying it right. It's water ice.
Yeah, nobody understands what water ice is outside of like New Jersey, New York, and like Delaware.
Yeah.
Nobody else knows what it is.
No. What could you start as a, if you're listening to this still and you think we have an idea for a business, I say we as in I'm part of your business energy minds. Send it to us and we'll consider opening it. This is like Shark Tank, Cronus Tank.
Other thing was like starting like a food truck and like doing like a Jersey like East Coast based food truck, which I think would be terrible. Like like cheesesteaks or
People eat too healthy out there, man.
no,
Like,
they don't. It's kind of interesting. There's
you have to be using like squid ink in your bread and all the other weird ingredients, mushrooms. It's not a weird ingredient, but like
I was like, it's not really weird at all.
Yeah, truffle, a lot of truffle.
The other thing about doing like a food truck or something, just to start, diversifying our income streams. We shall see.
I don't have those that creative link in my brain.
Yeah, just because she's reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that's one of the things they talk about in Rich Dad Poor Dad is like diversifying income.
I'm actually looking at installing and building my own kitchen cabinets. So maybe that's how I'll diversify. I'll be a cabinet maker.
A contractor, general contractor?
No, just a cabinet maker. I'm going to specialize in shaker cabinets, and that's it.
That'd be very lucrative, actually.
Dude, it is beyond expensive. How much like a really nice set of cabinets costs if you need them custom made.
Oh yeah.
Compared to, you might spend $600 on the wood total for your own cabinets, and if you don't have a table saw, a miter saw, or like a jigsaw, like you're spending a couple hundred there too. But the installation and everything, easily saving yourself minimum $8,000.
But then you have to do it yourself, though.
Yeah, but like once you get the cuts in and you build like a carcass, and if you have a router table, and what measurements are, you can make them relatively quickly. And the course, I mean, I say that having not done it yet, but like I'd say 3 or 4 weekends I could have all my cabinets made, and then you can hang them and set them up pretty quickly. The stuff I can't do though is like the countertop side. I need that from a specialty store.
Yeah, like granite.
Yeah, or human skin. That's going to be really hard to source.
Oh, I got you right there.
Thanks. Send me that contractor dude that was trying to sell you pigskin supplements.
All right. With that, I think we'll close it off. Any last thoughts, John?
Good to be back.
It is nice to be back. And it'll be another couple weeks we'll do this again. So
we're back.
All right, guys. Hope you guys have a good week. Catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Later.